Today I'm going to do a reading roundup of Winter to Spring 2024. Hello everyone, my name is Harmony. If you're a new viewer, welcome, or if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I talk about book reviews, and any other reading related things I can think of. Today I'm going to do a reading roundup of Winter to Spring 2024. So in that, I'm going to include February, March and April of this year. So main reason for doing that is that, well, I read books, sure, but most of the time I took ages to read things, or what felt like ages, and then I never got around to recording anything anyway. And in April, the stuff I read was not on the story graph at the time, so I've not actually got around to doing really any good reviews or ratings or anything. So those will skew the stats a lot because I haven't actually given star ratings or anything. But having said that though, I have been enjoying the books I've been reading more than I thought I would, even though that has not quite gone to plan, but that's okay, because they're books and they need reading. Right, Autumn? Anyway, I'll start with February. So in February I finished 2 books. So I started reading We Bought a Zoo by Benjamin Mee. I think I started reading that in January. I can't remember now off the top of my head. That book I gave 5 stars to, even if he does go on a bit long about financial stuff and whatever else. I still gave him 5 stars on that one. And I gave Horror Store a 3.75 rating because the first half of the book, honestly, it was really boring, and just goes on about how people hate their job working at this department store, and just really mundane and boring. If anyone does want me to do a review of that though, let me know, because that is Horror Store is one of the books for the FOMO book club that is run by Alice of Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, but they're not reading that until I think August, like July, August or something around there. So if you want me to do a review of that, just leave a comment and tell me, and yeah, see what happens. Alright, so those books and anything else that I started and didn't finish, everything that I read in February, in short, totaled to 593 pages, which is not a huge amount, but life. So there's a pie chart just below that on the story graph, and 20% of that pie chart. So there's 5 sections, each of them have 20%, and so for the moods of that those books, they were, according to the story graph anyway, they were tense, sad, dark, hopeful, and emotional. So, okay, I can see why. I know the second half of the second half of Horror Store can be a bit dark in places, but yeah. And We Bought a Zoo is emotional in places because it does deal with some hard topics. And hopeful, yeah, I get that. Tense and sad, I don't know, but okay, fair enough. Well, one of those books was fast-paced and one was slow-paced. Yeah, alright then. Okay, the length of the books. One was less than 300 pages, and the other was 300 to 499 pages. And of course, one was fiction and one non-fiction. So Horror Store was fiction and We Bought a Zoo is totally non-fiction. Alright, on to the genres in February. So, thriller and horror, those were for Horror Store, of course. And memoir and biography. I struggled to comprehend the biography because, well, We Bought a Zoo is autobiographical, duh. Memoir, what does memoir mean, by the way? Or is it just a thing of memories? I don't know. Somebody could enlighten me on this, because autobiography is, well, you're telling your own life story, and biography is somebody telling your story from whatever they found out. So, yeah, I don't know what this memoir thing is. Anyway, in March I read 3 books, but big fat disclaimer, I did also started some other stuff but didn't quite finish it. So those 3 books added to a total of 1,183 pages, would you believe? So, what did I read in March? Well, okay, so, in no particular order, N is for Noose by Sue Grafton. That is not on my list of things to read, but it is on the things that I own because I already have it electronically. I just bought a hard copy of it because it was threatened with the recycle bin. Salem Street, which was also threatened with the recycle bin, but turns out I also have it electronically. And The Man with No Face. Oh, sorry, Salem Street is by Anna Jacobs. It's the first book in the Gibson family series. And The Man with No Face by Peter May. Of course, I had to get a Peter May book in this year. Right, of those books, I finished reading Salem Street, and then I was surprised at myself because I normally don't care for family stories, and like historical fiction is nice, but I'd rather read about the real events. But I actually quite enjoyed the first book. Having said that, though, big massive warning, there are descriptions in there of rather sensitive topics, so just be careful with that one. But aside from that, if you take it as a whole, I'm enjoying reading historical fiction a lot more than I thought I would. So once I got done with Salem Street, I actually went immediately on to High Street, which is the second book in that series, the Gibson family series. But I did not end up finishing it until the 3rd of April. So that is not on this list of things I read in March. Not quite. Which thoroughly irritated me. Anyway. N is for Noose by Sue Grafton. I was disappointed with that book, I really was. So that's probably why I gave it a 3-star rating. And the other two books I gave it 4.75 star rating. But yeah, I found the Sue Grafton book a bit dull, actually. Like, why? But then that's also a book that's slap in the middle of the series, so I don't know if it would help if I went back to the start of the series and read the whole thing. Well, the mood of the books anyway, 2 books were, so 67% of the pie chart were mysterious according to the story graph, and 1 book was emotional. Okay, well, personally, I would actually call 2 books emotional looking back, but then I don't have the story graph plus thing. I just have the standard. So yeah, maybe I'll get the trial of that, I don't know. I guess one of these books didn't have a pace on it, so one was fast paced and one was slow paced apparently. Onto the length of the books now. So 2 books were 300 to 499 pages, and 1 book was 500 pages. So I'm thinking either the Peter May book just hit 500 pages, or the Anna Jacobs book might have just hit 500 pages. Having said that, though, some of the books on the Storygraph, they hit a slightly different page number than what I have written down, so yeah, I don't know. Even if they're the same edition, other people have added them, and yeah. Alright, all the books I read in March were fiction, of course, and I really need more non-fiction in my life. I used to read a lot of non-fiction, and I absolutely love non-fiction because I'd rather read about stuff that really happened. But when it's done well, things like historical fiction can be quite something. Alright, the genres: thriller, crime, okay, fair enough for those 2. Historical, yeah, alright, and mystery. I didn't think The Man with No Face had that much of a mystery element to it, because as the reader, we already know, like, who committed the crime, like, from the start. Having said that, though, there is something of a mystery in there's a couple of mysteries actually in N is for News. Thriller and crime, well, that's fair enough. I read a lot of those. So yeah, that is March of 2024. Now in April of this year, I read most of the rest of the Gibson Family series, but I didn't quite finish it, so by the time I added the books to the Storygraph and put in, hopefully, the correct page numbers, but don't quote me on that, those came to, again, over 1,400 pages, which is amazing. So I finished High Street, and I started and finished Ridge Hill and Hallam Square, both of which are continuing the Gibson Family series, and I also started Spinner's Lake, and I just finished it a couple of days ago on the 10th of May 2024, which is why it didn't make it into the into the April thing. So yeah, I didn't really, as I say, I didn't really give the stuff in April much in the way of ratings. Because they're continuing on as a series, and I don't know. I was more interested in reading the books than I was in rating them and whatnot. Which is fine, because that's what it's all about. And by the way, I'm reading now Willie Nelson's autobiography. And the title of that is My Life Is a Long Story. There will be a bit of a discrepancy in page numbers unless I contact the Storygraph and change it, because my edition has like 385 pages, no, 380 I don't know, 380 something pages anyway. But the Storygraph has it down as 400 pages. So I don't know why there's such a discrepancy between the Braille editions and what is listed in databases like your Storygraphs and your Goodreads and all that lot. I don't know. I would say a different edition, but it's the same ISBN, so that's really confusing. Anyway, I hope I've given you guys some good suggestions of things to read. If you enjoy seeing what I've been reading, feel free to take a look at my other reading roundup videos in this playlist. Or if you enjoy my videos in general, you can feel free to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share with your friends, leave a comment, and until next time, I will see you all in the next video.